She holds a Bachelor of Arts in Political Science and a Master of Public Administration degrees from the University of North Texas, where she also serves on the Public Administration Advisory Board. UNT holds a special place in her heart, and she also mentors young women leaders on campus as an alumni advisor to the Pi Beta Phi chapter. Jennifer earned a credential manager designation from the International City Council Management Association and has served her profession as president of the North Texas City Management Association and the Urban Management Assistance of North Texas. Jennifer was honored in 2012 by the North Central Texas Council of Governments with the Linda Keekley Award for Women in Public Management, and by the University of North Texas Department of Public Administration as the Outstanding MPA Alumna for 2017. Jennifer views mom, wife, daughter, sister, and friend as her most important roles in life. She and her husband, Mark, a freelance writer, and the very proud parents of Jackson, a junior at the University of Arkansas, and Grant, a senior at Hollywood Heritage High School, and a future Kansas Jayhawk. More than anything, they now enjoy the company of friends and family at the lake for a nice weekend. Please join me again in welcoming her as they share their thoughts with us today.
Morning.
Morning. I am going to be moving around, so I'm going to take this out and hope that this strategy of holding onto a mic and referencing my notes works. So thank you so much for having me here today. Thank you to UNT, to NT40 for the invitation. UNT holds a very special place in my heart, as Braden explained. And I am Mean Green proud. Some of my best memories in life were here on campus, now 30 years ago. But I really treasured my time at UNT, and it means so much to me to be asked to visit with you all today and share my leadership journey, which I believe started here on campus. So I'm going to start today with a question that I hope you will start thinking on today and hold with you for the remainder of your leadership journey. What if the greatest thing you ever do isn't something that you achieve, but someone you empower? Because real leadership, transformational leadership, isn't just about where you go. It's about who you bring with you. Who you prepare to go further than you ever could. Let me repeat the question so that it is on your mind as I visit with you today. What if the greatest thing you ever do isn't something you achieve, but someone you empower? Okay, so let's go to work. When someone like me is asked to give a presentation like this, we inevitably start Googling leadership quotes, right? So I'm going to ask by a show of hands of these quotes, which ones, and you can select multiple options, but which ones of these resonate with you? Simon Sinek says leadership isn't about being in charge, it's about taking care of those in your charge. Who agrees with this notion? Okay. John C. Maxwell, the prolific author of leadership books, says, a leader is one who knows the way, goes the way, and shows the way. Who agrees with this notion? Okay, excellent. Senator Cory Booker recently showed some leadership on the floor of the Senate with his marathon filibuster speech. He says leadership is not a position or a title. It is action and example. Who agrees with that? Okay, awesome. And then finally, the great Warren Bennis says leadership is the capacity to translate a vision into reality. Who agrees with that concept? Okay, thank you for participating in our very unofficial poll. And from what I saw, from my perspective up here, is that you agree with each of these concepts. At least someone in the room agrees with these things. And you know what leadership looks like when you see it. But is it as easy to see when there is a vacuum of leadership? Or should I say when great leadership isn't present? tell you that throughout my career, I've had the privilege of serving wonderful leaders who really showed me the way. But I've also worked with people who, while they had a leadership title, could not lead their way out of a paper bag. And after being in those two very different situations, I can tell you with 100% certainty, I learned more by spending time with the latter than the former. We live in a world that often confuses leadership with titles, followers, and popularity. But the truth, leadership is not a spotlight, it's a torch. And the most important thing you can do with the torch is pass it on. And today, I want to equip you with 5 leadership hacks that you can incorporate into your own careers so that you can pass the torch to your colleagues in your organizations. So the first hack for you today, leadership is about influence, not authority. Leadership isn't about having a title or control over others. It's about inspiring and influencing people to achieve a common goal. I once worked on a team early in my career where the department admin assistant was the most influential person in the department. She had been with the organization for decades. She knew all the history, and she had built a massive trust bank during her tenure. People went to her first for advice, insight, and mentorship, despite the fact that she really had little or no formal authority or power in the organization. She had more influence than the department director and, to some extent, the elected officials that we all worked for. But an important thing to note here is that she always used her influence for good. She helped mentor many of us. She shared her knowledge willingly, and she supported our mission relentlessly. I learned that in that experience, that trust is earned by possessing character, which I define as your integrity plus your motives, as well as competence, which is how the outside world and the external world sees you. So, here's some key strategies that you can take with you that might help you build influence without authority. The first one is build strong relationships that are crucial for fostering trust and gaining support. Number 2, effectively communicate your ideas and vision to persuade others of their value. Number 3, understand the perspective and needs of others so that you can build rapport and influence, which is done with empathy and active listening. Number 4, consistently deliver positive outcomes to build credibility. Focusing on results is what strengthens your influence. Number 5, lead by example. I'm sure you've heard that a million times from the time you were in kindergarten. By demonstrating desired behaviors and values that inspire others to follow. Number 6, I believe that people support what they help create. So collaborating with others towards a shared goal can create a sense of ownership and buy-in. Number 7, instead of demanding, try to understand others' needs and perspectives. Number 8, be open to the idea that unexpected individuals can become your most valuable allies. 9, do not micromanage. Trust your team and allow them to take ownership of their work. Insecure leaders hoard power. Confident leaders share it. And number 10, consistently deliver on positive outcomes to build credibility and strengthen your influence. Great leaders don't focus on building their legacy. They focus on building a legacy of leaders. True leadership lies in the ability to inspire and influence others, regardless of the title or your position. Okay, leadership hack number 2. Who has heard of the term emotional intelligence? Awesome, okay. So, in the world today, self-awareness, empathy, and emotional regulation are just as important as technical skills for success. Technical aptitude will get your resume looked at, but having emotional intelligence is what will get you the job. How well you work with others is going to determine your leadership success. I have the opportunity to mentor and coach job seekers almost every day in the work that I do. And in that mentoring, I encourage them to demonstrate to hiring leaders how they communicate and how well they work with others. I call it how you play in the sandbox. So, in other words, can you get along with other people without creating divisiveness or drama? Leaders with high EQ skills understand and connect with their team, fostering better communication, trust, and collaboration. A way that I have cultivated emotional intelligence throughout my career is being genuinely interested in other people's and my team's success versus my own. While it sounds easy, I can tell you it is not human nature, and most people's instinct is not to be a servant leader. At last night's reception, I had the chance to visit with several of you, and I heard you use the term servant leadership, and it warmed my heart. At SGR, we teach servant leadership to local government teams and individuals all around the country, and we see real transformation when leaders focus on authentic relationships with their team members and surrender their own success to the success of others. My recognition of the importance of emotional intelligence to build on relationships was really took hold while I was here at UNT. I was very involved on campus, and I was able to nurture relationships through the Greek system, the Student Association, and of course, at D40. Today, I teach my 2 college-age sons that life is all about relationships. I'm sure they would tell you that if they had $1 for every time I had said that to them, they could single-handedly fund their own college. But it's true, and you must demonstrate empathy, self-awareness, and emotional regulation in order to succeed. Okay, leadership hack number 3. The importance of adaptability and resilience. Let's be honest, life never really goes according to plan, right? You think you've got it all mapped out. Your major, your career path, your 5-year plan, then boom, curveball. Something changes. And suddenly you're faced with uncertainty and wondering, okay, now what? This is where 2 of the most powerful traits a person can have show up: adaptability and resilience. My first role as a city manager, a couple of decades ago now, was a very challenging one, where I did not know what I did not know. I was young, inexperienced, and to top it off, I was a new mom. I actually had a baby while I was city manager at that time. That time was extremely difficult in my life. But I can now reflect on it as I was embracing a challenge that I did not think I was ready to do. And I grew a lot as a leader, as a city manager, and as a mom. We will never achieve anything that we don't go after, even if we are not completely confident in our ability to do it. So let me tell you a quick story. A few years ago, there was a college senior, let's call her Maya. She was a star student, type A, planner to the core. She had lined up a prestigious internship, a clear path to grad school, and her dream job was practically waiting for her on the other side. Then came the curveball. Anyone want to venture a guess what it was? About 5 years ago? The pandemic. Exactly. Her internship canceled. Grad school delayed. Dream job vanished in a wave of hiring freezes. For weeks, she was stuck in disappointment. But eventually, Maya made a choice. She could sit in frustration, or she could adapt. So, she leaned into her creativity. She started freelancing online, learning digital skills she never imagined that she would need. She networked with people all over the world on LinkedIn and Zoom and Slack channels. And over time, she built something entirely new, a remote marketing business that helped pay her bills, gave her freedom and purpose. Today, she is thriving, not because she stuck to the plan, but because she didn't. Here's the truth. Resilience doesn't mean nothing shakes you. It means nothing breaks you. And adaptability, that's not weakness, that's strategy. Life will ask you to pivot. Your plans will shift. Things you counted on will fall through, but you're not powerless. You get to choose. Will you grow from this, or will you give up? Will you hold on to the old plan, or will you make a new one? Leadership requires the ability to adapt in the face of challenges and setbacks. I also heard many of you last night talk about how you are adapting your plans as you look to your futures. Maybe you majored in something that you're really no longer interested in after you took all of those classes. I can tell you that the need to do that will continue well into your careers and frankly for the rest of your life. We have to stay flexible, learn from mistakes, and bounce back stronger. Leadership hack number 4. Take a sip of water. Lead with integrity and authenticity. Let's talk about authentic leadership. Not the kind that comes with a title or a corner office, but the kind that actually matters. In a world full of filters, carefully curated feeds, the pressure to perform, there's one thing that people are starving for: authenticity. And there's one thing that keeps leaders grounded: integrity. Authentic leadership is built on a foundation of honesty, integrity, and ethical decision-making. We must be true to ourselves, lead with values, and earn trust by doing the right thing even when it's difficult. Because here's the truth. People will follow your example more than your words. And if they can't trust who you are, they will never believe what you say. Toward the end of my time in city management, it became apparent to me that I did not share the same value system with those that I was serving. And in order to be true to myself, I had to make the very difficult decision to change direction in my career. It was gut-wrenching, humbling, and more than once, I questioned if it was the right decision. But once I committed to my true value system, I was able to sleep better at night and deal better with the challenges facing me. Throughout my career, I have found that first knowing and really understanding my purpose by figuring out my why, and then pursuing opportunities and roles that fulfill that why, is how I've been able to ensure that my thoughts and my actions and my emotions are all aligned and authentic to who I am as a person. Here's another real-world experience that maybe resonates with you. When I was in grad school here at UNT, I had a fellowship whereby I worked in my department doing research for one of my professors. After I had completed an extensive project and submitted it to my professor, I realized there were some minor calculation errors in the final product, but also that they likely would not be noticed by the reader. I could have not said anything, and likely it would have never been noticed by anyone, and just gone on with my life. Or I could own it, explain what happened, and risk potentially losing credibility with my professor. So after thinking about it for a short time, I realized I would not be able to live with the choice of not being transparent. So I went to my professor, shared the mistake, and addressed it transparently. It was super uncomfortable, but it was also honest. And here's the wild part. Instead of losing trust, I gained more of it. My professor respected the ownership, the humility, and the courage that it took to stand in the truth in that moment. Humility plays a huge part of being an authentic leader. You have to have the humility to know when you are wrong, and that sometimes you just don't know what you don't know. The world does not need more perfect leaders. It needs honest ones. The kind who admit when they mess up, stay true to their values under pressure, and lead with both heart and spine. Authenticity means you do not wear a mask to impress people. And integrity means that you do not trade your values for validation. Okay, leadership hack number 5. Empower others and build strong teams. Leadership is not just about individual success. It's about lifting others up. Effective leaders delegate, mentor, and empower others to grow. We should have the mindset that leadership is about creating opportunities for others to shine. As I reflect on my career, my greatest achievement, without question, is helping others achieve their goals. I am really proud that 3 separate individuals that I hired while I was city manager in Colleyville have gone on to become city managers in other communities. One of the most powerful forces on earth is a person who believes in you. That's mentorship. Mentors see what you can't yet see in yourself. They push you further than you thought you could go. They open doors and show you how to walk through them with confidence. So I will ask you this: who's mentoring you? And who are you mentoring? Even as students, you have wisdom someone else needs. Your experience, your mistakes, they matter. You don't have to wait to be older or be ready to lead. You can start by lifting someone else where you stand. Leadership is not something people can learn by observation alone. They must be given the chance to practice it. The timing of being asked to speak with you today and share my experiences as a leader happens to coincide with my professional career coming to an end. I am retiring in about 45 days. And with this transition, I am reminded that every great organization, team, or mission outlives its leader if, and only if, succession is intentional. And that succession planning is not about stepping down, it's about stepping aside so that others can rise. There's a great quote that I'm sorry I cannot recall who to attribute it to, but it goes something like this: a society grows great when people plant trees whose shade they know they will never sit in. The question for me today, at this compelling moment in my life, isn't what will people remember about me, but instead, who will be better because I led? Great leaders cultivate a leadership pipeline. They create environments where leadership is constantly nurtured, rather than one-off mentoring or sporadic training here and there. I encourage you to always be motivated by what you can do to help others' success. Have high expectations of yourself and then high expectations of others. Great leaders understand that leadership is not a lifetime position, but a responsibility to build a legacy. True leaders are constantly developing people around them to take their place by giving them the tools and the trust and opportunities to lead before that leader steps aside. I got behind on my slides. Okay, I'm going to give you a bonus leadership hack as I wrap up my comments today. Take initiative and be a lifelong learner. There's something powerful about the moment you realize no one's coming to push you. No one's going to knock on your door and hand you your dream. And no one owes you growth. The people who grow, who lead, who thrive, are not always the smartest or the most talented, but they're the ones who take the initiative. They're the ones who keep learning long after the class ends and grades stop. Here's the deal. In college and in life, the difference maker is rarely luck. It's ownership. Leadership starts with taking initiative. Don't wait for permission to lead. As an individual, follow your curiosity. If something interests you, even a little bit, explore it. Read the book, take the free class, DM the expert. Don't wait for the perfect moment. Start with what you have where you are. Even small steps matter in a leadership journey. Invest in your own growth. Podcasts, books, YouTube, mentors, workshops. Learning doesn't have to cost money, but it does take time and effort. Then, as a leader, you have an obligation to ensure that leadership development is woven into the culture of whatever organization you are a part of. Encourage continuous learning and provide resources for growth. Whether it's training, coaching, self-development programs, leave behind structure and not stories. Set others up to succeed systematically. So in conclusion, great leaders are not defined by their own achievements, but by how many future leaders they create. It's not enough to be great. We must make others great as well. We are in a moment in the history of time that calls for great leadership. We have important problems to solve, and we need courageous individuals that will answer the call of service to others. There's going to be pressure to perform, to impress, to be on brand, but leadership is not performance. It's presence, it's character, and it's consistency. I encourage you to use your influence and emotional intelligence skills to cultivate resilience and adaptability in your teams and organizations. Commit to integrity and authenticity in your leadership journey that empowers others and builds strong teams. Remember, if you want to go fast, go alone. But if you want to go far, go together. And eventually let others lead the way. Pass the torch of leadership to others as you do. And at the end of your career, what will be the answer to that question? What if the greatest thing you ever do isn't something that you achieve, but someone you empower? Thank you very much to NT40 for the opportunity to be with you here today.